Now we talk about put options. So why would a person buy a put or have a long position on the put? Now that investor or person, he's expecting the price of the underlying to go down significantly. On the other hand, the short position on put, that is a person selling a put, here that person or investor is expecting the price to either remain constant or steady or go up. So notice that these two things are opposite to each other. So long position is expecting price to go down, and the short position is expecting either price to go up or remain where it is. So now let us describe put option. So the buyer of the put option, that is in the long position, he has the right but not the obligation. So he does not have the obligation, but he has the right to sell an agreed quantity of a particular stock. So this particular stock could also be a commodity or could also be a financial instrument. So instead of particular stock, you can say particular underlying. So the buyer of the put can sell a particular underlying to the seller. So seller or writer of the put option, so seller is short position, at a certain time, the expiration date for a certain price, which is called the strike price. Now the seller is obligated to buy. So notice that the buyer does not have the obligation to sell, but the seller is obligated to buy the underlying from the buyer if the buyer decides to exercise his right. Now the buyer has to buy this right from the seller, because buyer is not obligated to sell, whereas seller is obligated to buy. So the buyer pays a fee for this right, and this fee is called a premium. So let us do an example. Say current price of ABC Corporation is $100. So there is investor A. He expects the price to significantly go down. So he is going to buy a put. Whereas investor B, he expects price to remain steady or go up. So investor B is going to sell the put to investor A. So say now A buys a put contract for 100 shares of ABC Corporation from seller B or the writer B for a strike price of 95 per share and pays a premium of 3 per share. Now obviously this put option can be exercised on a particular date. So let us fix some date. So say you fix a date of 31st December of this year, the end of the year date. So you have date fixed, you have the strike price fixed, and you have the premium per share fixed. So these are three particular things which are fixed. Now first thing is that since investor A is buying a put from investor B, so investor A will give $300 to B. So $3 per share, and there are 100 shares. So 100 times 3, $300 have been given to investor B. So scenario 1 is share price drops to $85. So the market is moving precisely as the person who bought the put. So A wants the share price to drop. He expects the share price to drop. So it drops to $85 on the expiration date. So notice that everything happens on the expiration date. So if it drops before expiration date, nothing is going to happen. Here we are talking about expiration date. Now obviously what we are talking about is European options. In American options, you could exercise any time before the expiration date. On European options, you only exercise on the expiration date. So if the share price drops to $85, then A is going to exercise the option. So what he will do is he will get the share for $85 from the market and sell it to the writer for $95. So notice that the seller is obligated to buy. So since the share price has dropped, he is going to buy the shares from the market, sell it to the writer of the put for $95, and he makes a revenue of $10 per share. The gain per share is 95 minus 85. So he bought it for $85 from the open market and sold it to the writer of the put for $95. So total he made $1,000, 10 times 100. But he also paid this $300 for the put option, so total profit is $700. Now scenario 2 is the stock price rises to 115 per share. So now it has gone against what investor A thought about, and it has gone in the direction what investor B is thinking about. So investor A will not exercise the option because he does not have the obligation to sell. Now obviously he will not exercise it because he does not want to get the stock for $115 in the market and sell it for $95. So because the contract is that he will sell the shares for $95, and right now the price in the market is $115, so he cannot buy more expensive and sell it cheap. So he does not exercise the option at all and he loses all $300. So all this $300 is complete gain for investor B. Now scenario 3 is the stock price is $92. Now this $92 is less than 95. So the total gain for this person is he buys, so investor A buys shares at $92 from the market, sells it to the writer for $95. So he makes $3 per share. So total gain is $300. But he also paid this $300 in the beginning. So total profit is 0. So the summary is this. So you exercise the put option only when stock price is less than the strike price. So for example, at $85 you will exercise because it is less than 95 our strike price. In scenario 2 you do not exercise it because 115 is greater than 95, it is not less than 95. And the break even is when strike minus premium is equal to the stock price. So basically you see that the stock price is 92, then 92 is equal to your strike is 95 minus the premium. So this is 92 and this is 92. So then you will have break even, you will have 0 loss. But you can reduce loss when stock price is still less than the strike. For example, when it is 93, you can still reduce your loss. So for example, you will buy the shares for $93 from the market and sell it for 95. Multiply it by 100 total number of shares. So the total gain is $200. But you paid $300 for the right, so you lose 200 minus 300, that is $100. So this is your total loss. But you have reduced the loss. I mean, if you do not exercise at $93, then you will lose $300. If you exercise, you will only lose $100. So the idea is this, that you always exercise the option when stock price is less than the strike price for put options. You may or may not make money, but once you buy an option, you always exercise it when stock price is less than the strike price.